Today I'm going to explain the action, biography and crime movie Captain Phillips, released in the year 2013. The movie is about the true story of the 2009 hijacking of an American ship by Somalian pirates, the MV Maersk Alabama. But before we begin to tell you the story, please subscribe to our channel as we really need your support to grow and keep making these amazing recaps. Thanks from the team of IMDb 8 Recap, if you have subscribed, and beware of the spoilers. The story of the movie begins with Captain Richard Phillips packing his luggage and leaving for the airport with his wife, Andrea Phillips. Once the couple reached the airport, Andrea bid him goodbye and leaves immediately, as she couldn't see him getting away from her. The scene changes and we see local soldiers arriving in vans in a small village called Ale on the coast of Somalia. A boy sneaks into a dilapidated hut to inform a sleeping man named Muse that soldiers are coming. Muse rushes up to the soldiers, who have come to collect money from the villagers at the behest of their boss, Garad. Muse asks them to take a respite for a few days and promises to repay them soon. At the same time, Muse plans to go out to sea and go on a big hunt. With big hunt, it means he plans to hijack a cargo ship. Hafan, who happens to the chief of this village, asks Muse and Azad to choose 3 men each. All the men and youths of the village gather around them so that they can select their crew. Muse chooses Elmi, Bilal, and Naji on his team. Then, they all put the necessary equipment for the voyage in the small boats and get into them to reach the ship, which is captained by Hafan. We can see that there is some tension between Azad and Muse. Muse doesn't like Azad giving orders to his men, but Muse doesn't want to escalate the matter further, so keeps silent. In another scene, Captain Phillips has arrived in Salalah, Oman, from Vermont. He has taken command of the MV Maersk Alabama, a commercial cargo ship. He is also inspecting the ship on his way to the bridge above. He enters the control room and meets Shane Murphy, who informs him that they will be sailing through the Gulf of Aden and rounding the Horn of Africa to Mombasa, Kenya. Shane tells Captain Phillips about the cargo they are carrying: commercial cargo, food, and fresh water. Captain Phillips looks at the route map and gets a little worried because there is a danger of a pirate on the Somali coast route. As a safety precaution, Captain Phillips orders that all lockers in the ship's cabins be locked and that all doors and hatches not be opened unnecessarily. After loading all the goods onto the ship, it leaves on its voyage. In the following scene, we see the 2 skiffs along with Hafan's ship. They have already started their voyage. Hafan is checking the radar. Many ships are visible on it at the moment. But since all these ships are a short distance from each other, it is difficult to take any one of them hostage. That's why, going further, he sees a lone ship. No other ship is seen in its vicinity. This ship is the MV Maersk Alabama, which is captained by Richard Phillips, and these pirates make it as their target. Meanwhile, Captain Phillips receives an email from Maersk Alabama officials warning him of pirates. Captain Phillips orders the crew to prepare for an emergency in advance as a precaution measure. Eventually, Captain Phillips sees 2 small boats approaching them on the radar, looking through his binoculars to assure himself. Those skiffs are heading to Maersk Alabama. Captain Phillips calls Murphy to get to the bridge as soon as possible. Upon reaching control room, Captain Phillips informs him about the boats and tells him to contact U.S. Maritime Emergency, but he receives no response. Captain Phillips orders Ken Quinn to turn the ship 5 degrees to port to see if the boats follow them. The boats continue to follow them after the shift in the direction. Seeing this, Captain Phillips panics because he doesn't have any weapons on board to fight them. Captain Phillips is confident that the pirates will be armed with weapons. So, he tells Murphy to try to contact the UK Maritime Trade Operation and inform them of the situation. The female officer tells Captain Phillips to follow established procedure and deal with the pirates, as she thinks they are just fishermen. But according to Captain Phillips, the boats approaching them aren't just fishing. He looks at the boats again through his binoculars and sees armed men. He realizes that the pirates may have a radio, so he pretends to contact the military ship, telling them that they have weapons on board and that they can use them. He also pretends to be a military official responding to his own messages, stating that a fighter jet will reach there in 5 minutes. Captain Phillips believes the pirates have heard everything. According to the plan, the pirates panic, and one of the skiffs captained by Azad turns and flees. However, Muse tells his man Elmi to speed up. In the next scene, Captain Phillips orders Mike Perry to go as fast as possible. The high speed of the ship creates a lot of turbulence in the water, which makes it difficult for Muse's men to control their boat. Here we see Muse as stubborn and fearless, asking Elmi to speed up instead of all the turbulence that they are facing. Their skiff's engine doesn't last long and shuts off after seizing. Fortunately, the MV Maersk Alabama overtakes, and Muse's skiff is left behind. All the crew on the MV Maersk Alabama are very scared of this past situation. One of the crew members says that they signed a contract for a cargo ship, not to fight pirates, also because they don't have any weapons to fight off the pirates. They also complain that when the officials knew that there were pirates on this route, why did they not give them weapons? All the crew members start arguing about this. Captain Phillips silences them all and orders them that the danger is not yet over, so they will have to double shift, and if anyone objects, they will be sent back on the first flight out of Mombasa. On the other hand, Muse has arrived at Huffan's ship and is fixing his skiff's engine. Meanwhile, Azad insults Muse's man again, which angers Muse, and he gets into an argument with Azad. Azad's nonsense is beyond Muse's tolerance, so he picks up the nearby wrench and hits Azad on the head and kills him. Muse then combines Azad's and his skiff's engines into a single boat to increase the power. The next day, Muse again starts chasing the MV Maersk Alabama. In the next scene, just as Captain Phillips is getting ready, he receives a call from Murphy, who tells him to come to the bridge. On radar, they see a small boat approaching, and Captain Phillips orders all the crew to get to work at their stations. He contacts the MTO in the UK and informs them that they have been attacked by pirates. They tell Captain Phillips that they will inform the military soon. Muse's skiff is speeding toward the MV Maersk Alabama, and as it approaches, Captain Phillips orders his crew to turn on the water hoses. Due to the opening of the hoses, the water is rushing out from all around the ship. Muse and his men attempt to attach the ladder to the ship despite the strong pressure and succeed. Seeing this, Captain Phillips gets frightened, telling his crew to close all doors and hatches and hide in the engine room. Captain Phillips also advises his crew that they are not supposed to come out under any circumstances unless he says a secret password. Supper time. Captain Phillips does not want any of his crew members to be taken hostage. Meanwhile, we see Muse and his men entering the ship and breaking every lock on their way. Moving forward, the pirates reach the bridge, where Captain Phillips, Murphy, and Ken are present. Muse tells Captain Phillips that they are only here to do business and no one will get hurt. As soon as they get the money, they will leave. Muse asks Captain Phillips where the ship is from, and they are overjoyed when they learn that it is an American ship. Muse discovers that Captain Phillips is an Irishman and calls him Irish from then on. Captain Phillips, when asked by Muse, tells them that they are carrying food and water on this ship for the relief of the poor, and besides that, they have $30,000. Captain Phillips tells them to take the money and leave. But Muse intends to get much more. When the ship loses power, Muse asks Captain Phillips what happened, and he says that the ship has lost power due to an unknown problem. Captain Phillips says he will go into the engine room to check what the problem is. Muse then asks Captain Phillips where the rest of the ship's crew is, but he replies that he doesn't know. He is the captain of the ship, and he is here, but he doesn't know where the rest of the crew is. Muse doesn't believe what Captain Phillips is saying, so Najee grabs Ken at his cue, and Muse threatens Captain Phillips that he needs all the crew members here or he will shoot Ken. Now Captain Phillips gets angry and asks Muse if this is his way of doing business, taking someone's life. Muse decides to inspect the ship after some thought. Meanwhile, Captain Phillips surreptitiously keeps his hand on the walkie-talkie button, letting the crew members hidden in the engine room know what is about to happen. He shows Muse the ship. Muse asks why all the doors are closed, but Captain Phillips says he doesn't know anything. Muse wants to go to the engine room first to get the ship's power back on and contact the officials from there to discuss the ransom. Passing through the ship's kitchen, Captain Phillips offers Muse water and some food. Murphy is already there, but he hides before they arrive. After they leave, Murphy informs the crew through his walkie-talkie that pirates are coming that way, and one of them is barefoot. A crew member in the engine room scatters a shard of broken glass in the path. As Bilal enters with Muse and Captain Phillips, his foot gets badly injured, but despite this, Muse tells him to go ahead. As the wound deepens, Bilal's foot continues to bleed, so Muse tells Bilal to take Captain Phillips to the bridge and send Najee to the engine room. When Muse is left there alone, the crew members capture him. Captain Phillips and Bilal have arrived when the crew members talk to the pirates in the control room via walkie-talkie. The crew members tell them that they have captured their captain, Muse, and that they should take $30,000 and leave with Muse. Najee is against this but is silenced by Muse. The crew members bring Muse on deck, giving them $30,000 and a lifeboat to get away. As they leave, Muse pulls Captain Phillips into the lifeboat and takes him with them. Here, Muse has kidnapped the captain against God's rule, and they don't know how much trouble they are in. Muse intends to take Captain Phillips to Somalia and collect the ransom. On the other hand, a U.S. Navy ship captained by Frank Castellano has been on its way to free Captain Phillips from the pirates. Now, we see the scene in the lifeboat where Captain Phillips is sitting aloof. He tries to talk to the pirates, but Najee strictly forbids him. Captain Phillips still sees Bilal in pain and asks to dress his wound. Muse allows him to do so. As Captain Phillips bandages Bilal's wound, Bilal becomes a little gentler with Captain Phillips and even gives him water to drink. The atmosphere on the lifeboat is very suffocating. Then we see that the SEAL operation team has left Virginia for the west coast of Africa. In the next scene, the Navy ship has arrived, and tells Muse to hand over Phillips. But Muse replies that he wants to talk to their superiors and about the ransom money. Phillips explains to Muse that his boss isn't going to help him and Navy isn't going to abandon him, so he should end it all, but Muse still wants the ransom money. Nemo, a Navy sailor who speaks Somali, tries to talk to Muse and offers him food and water, but he refuses and says he wants $10 million. Nemo explains to him that this is not possible, but Muse does not back down from his demand. Navy leader Frank Castellano wants to see Phillips. Muse brings him out of the lifeboat, and Phillips tells the Navy men to tell his family that he's okay and that he's in seat number 15. Muse pushes Phillips back into the lifeboat. Because of the noise, Najee gets fed up and shoots near Phillips' ear. This led Frank to recall the gunboats. Muse allows Phillips to piss, and he comes out where Bilal is also standing. Philip pushes Bilal and he himself jumps into the ocean with an intention to flee. Muse stops Najee from shooting and swims to capture Phillips. Phillips is put back on the lifeboat, and Najee hits him hard. The SEAL team also arrives there. Muse feels things are getting out of hand, so he gets out of the boat, puts his gun on Phillips' head, and threatens the Navy. Muse tells Phillips to tell the Navy leader that he will be shot and that the survival suit will be a body bag. Phillips does just that. The SEAL commander tells Muse that he is an American negotiator. He tells all the pirates their full identities and also that the arbitrator has promised to pay Captain Phillips ransom. They want Muse on board so he can be there during the negotiations. Najee finds this all an ambush, but Muse agrees. Navy skiffs arrive next to the lifeboat. The Navy men give Phillips a yellow shirt because his shirt was floating away in the water, and they take Muse with them. At the same time, they towed a lifeboat from behind and also secretly planted a listening device. The SEAL team commander orders rapid maneuvers, so they pull the lifeboat closer to the ship. In the next scene, Phillips quickly puts on a yellow jersey. Najee is so angry that he tells Bilal to shoot Phillips if he tries to move. Now Phillips also finds it difficult to survive, so he secretly writes a letter to his family with a pen lying nearby. Najee catches him and beats him badly. He hangs his hands on ropes, blindfolds him, and starts beating him badly. The SEAL team, on the other hand, is listening to all of this, and the commander now orders the snipers, who are positioned on the deck of the ship, to quickly take up the position of the pirates and shoot them. Towing has ceased. The targets are set. He shoots all 3 pirates at once, and Captain Phillips is safe. Muse, on the other hand, is captured and told that his men are dead. Phillips is brought aboard a Navy ship and given medical assistance. He cries over his life being spared and is also sad for Muse and his men. On April 17, 2009, Richard Phillips is reunited with his family and sets off on his next voyage 6 months later. While Abdiwali Muse has been sentenced to 33 years in an Indiana prison. Overall, Captain Phillips is a great movie to watch with an amazing storyline, so make sure to check it out. To watch many more exciting recaps like this, don't forget to subscribe as that's the only way we can keep making these fantastic recaps and like this video. Let us know in the comments section about your next favorite movie that you would like us to recap. Thanks again for watching and stay safe and healthy.